Hey everybody, Drew Ronalette here, Director of Student Ministries at Cooperative Community Church in Lenexa, Kansas. I hope that you all have had a wonderful week, even though it has been a cold week, and I mean cold. But that's okay because it seems like we're going to get some warmer weather this weekend, which I'm pretty amped about. Gotta love that warm weather, especially in time for Halloween. Yeah, I'm super excited. But let's go ahead and jump in. As you know, last week we started a series called Canceled. This series is about cancel culture. If you don't know what that means, that's kind of how just like a lot of stuff, you come in and you're just like, no, I don't like that. Let's cancel it. No, I don't like that. It's canceled. But so, as you know, last week we talked about kind of in cancel culture how sometimes just things happen. Like in cancel culture, it's just kind of common instinct to do things when you see someone who's not like you, just be like, nah. But last week we talked about how we can love people who are different than us. This week we're going to look at a different way. We're going to look at how we can love people who are in need. Now, we all know, yes, we can help and love the people who, have the big problems. Those are the ones we always want to help. But that's not necessarily what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the small things this week. I think one of the best examples that comes to my mind is helping your grandparents or aunts or uncles or even sometimes your parents with technology. How many of you guys have had to do that? I certainly have. I can tell you a few moments where I've gotten a text saying, hey, can you come help me with this because I don't know what to do. It's on the computer. Or, hey, our TV's not working. Can you come fix it? Like I'm the tech guy. I'm going to be honest with you. I am not the most tech savvy person myself, but somehow I always figure it out. But yeah. But let's get back to that. You get asked to help out. First time, maybe even the first 50 times, you're like, yeah, this is cool, whatever. But after a bit, doesn't it start to get annoying? Don't you get to the point where you're just like, again? You need my help again? And you want to say things like, no, just look it up on YouTube. But see, here's the problem with that. You say look it up on YouTube, you may have to explain what YouTube is, because sometimes they don't know. And, to be honest with you, sometimes that's fine. But here's the fact. Every day, we run into someone who needs help. We may not necessarily recognize it and see it as help, but it is. It could be something, as I said, helping your grandparents with an electronic. It could be when you're eating school in the cafeteria and somebody has something in their teeth, just telling them. It also could be something like helping some kid tie a shoe that hasn't been able to. There's always little things that pop up when someone needs help. Opening a door for someone could be another one when their hands are full. And the fact is, I know I'm the same way, so I'm going to say this. Sometimes we help, but sometimes we don't. Sometimes we see it and we're just like, no, I don't have time for this. I can't do that. Whatever. But here's a fact. When we need help, we are at our most vulnerable. We're at a position where we can't do something or we can't see something, and we need that help. Now, here's the sad thing though. When we see others who need help, realizing, not necessarily thinking about they're vulnerable and they need help, but sometimes people do. And sometimes we react good and we help them. But sometimes we don't because one, we're annoyed. Two, we just don't have time for that. We're so busy. But here's the fact. Wouldn't you want someone to help you in your place of vulnerability? Now let's look into our Bible. As you know, the first 4 books of the New Testament are called the Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And throughout these Gospels, there is a large amount of times where it shows and talks about Jesus helping someone who is vulnerable. Let's look at one of those instances, and then we'll come back and we'll get back into this. But in Mark chapter 10, verses 46 through 52, there's a blind man. His name is, don't quote me on this because I'm probably going to butcher it, it's Bartimaeus. I don't know the exact saying, but it's what it looks like to me. So that's what I'm going to go with. Let me give you a little backstory about Bartimaeus. Again, he's blind. He sits on the side of the road. Now, as the crowds are gathering, Bartimaeus, he starts to cry out. He's like, what's going on? Hey, I could use some help. Hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm here. But he can't see. He's blind. But he's in the crowd. He needs help. Even the slightest thing. Maybe needed help getting some food or some water or even finding something. But the crowd, when they hear him cry out, they told him to be quiet. They told him there were more important things. They told him not to worry about it. They looked at him like he was just another beggar. But here's the cool thing about Jesus. Jesus heard Bartimaeus. And as you know in the Bible, a lot of times when the crowds gathered, it was because of Jesus. Because Jesus was there. He was there to preach. He was there to help. A lot of times he did some miracles. Jesus heard Bartimaeus. And instead of passing by and telling him to be quiet like everybody else did, Jesus stopped and helped him. He showed Bartimaeus that he was worth his time. I mean, truly think about it. Think about how busy of a guy Jesus was. He had a mission to tell the world who he was. He was set on his path for crucifixion, set to save every single one of us. He came in and he showed that we should love everyone, even those people in need, even when we think we don't have the time for it. Jesus showed that we should take the time because it is worth it, and everyone deserves the help. Now, all throughout the Gospels, there are so many stories like this of Jesus coming and helping people that are in need because it's who Jesus was. Jesus showed love to those in need like he was meant to, like he calls us to. Now, here's my thoughts. If Jesus, a guy who was followed everywhere and went by crowds, people wanted to hear him speak, people wanted to see him do miracles, a guy who, you know, was a pretty busy guy at all times. Not necessarily always by his choice, but because he was always doing something, because people wanted him to. But also a guy that decided to take time out of his mission, his goal, to die for each and every single one of us, to help this guy laying on the side of the road that everybody else ignored. If a guy like that can take a minute out of his busy day and help someone in need, if a guy like that can take a minute and say, hey, what do you need? Let me help you. Hey, can I hold the door for you? Hey, Grandma, this is how you do this. Hey, you got something in your teeth? If Jesus can take a minute and do things like that, so can we. God calls us to love those in need. And not just those that are in need and need the big things done, because we see those every day. And those are the ones we want to help. But also those little things. Because remember, when we are in need, we are at our most vulnerable. Now, don't always think that way, but it's true. So next time you see somebody in need, take a minute, help them out, show them love, because it's what Christ did for us and everyone around him, and we're called to be like Christ. So take a moment, help those in need, and remember, this is you help them. If I was in their position, would I want them to help me? Show them love. I hope you all have a great week. God bless.